Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wired Nerdy Podcast. This is season number 2 and our final season closer, episode number 37. My name is Keith. I'm here with my good friend Doug. Doug, it's been a haul, man.
It
How you
has.
feeling?
Season 2, we're wrapping it up today. We've got a lot of good stuff for you, but we're going to look back at season 2, and it's been a good one. We've had
Oh,
some
God.
really good ones.
Yeah, we had a strong season. I remember we went into season 2 kind of feeling like, man, we had a pretty good, strong start with our season 1. How are we going to top it? Dude, I'm just going to say, I feel like we've knocked it out of the park. Just going to brag a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's because we've had awesome help. So good content needs help. But before we get into all that, we have a very extensive for our last end of our season list for nerd news of a lot of things to talk about as we head into the holiday season. And so one thing I do want to point out is that while this is, we're wrapping up this season just because we're heading to the holidays, got a lot of things going on. Each one of the weeks, we're not going to be, just not having content out there. Each weekend, Doug and I plan on releasing our, what we call them, our retro reviews, where we take a look back at old games, just kind of bring back some nostalgia. So even though you won't have the long form podcast itself to look forward to, we're still going to have content weekly that's going to be put out there. I know, Doug, you've been working hard on your series. You just did Desert Strike. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I've talked about that for those listening. Urban Strike and Jungle Strike, I never got to play those. So I just can't do it the justice that I can. But I want to ask people to come back for Soviet and Nuclear because I love those games.
I'm excited.
Things to say.
I didn't play those, so I'm excited to see that. And that's the thing is, you'll notice Doug and I take turns with the retro reviews. He does some, I do some. He's really good about picking a series and like making it like a theme. Me, I just hop all over the place. So you get variety that way, right? So
now I've got another one loaded, ready to go. That I talked about the arcade version before I talked about the console port.
See, I'm going to learn something.
I'm super excited to get that one to drop.
I am too. I can't wait to see it. So we will have those being posted each week during our normal, we try to post every weekend to have a new episode, but during our small hiatus as we head into the new year, before we start season 3, we're still going to have content going out there. That's the overall point of this. So keep checking your notifications. You're still getting notifications of stuff that we're posting, so you can consume that. So we're not completely going away, especially for all those amazing new subscribers that we have. And that being said, are you ready to do the nerd news? You ready to cue it up?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's cue up the nerd news.
Nerd news.
Get the share going here. And we got a lot, man. There we go. Now, we always talk about there's some weeks it's light and there's some weeks it's not. And this was one of those weeks. I thought it was going to be light. I took a glance, but then we started looking and, dude, there's a ton out there. So do you want me to take this first one?
Yeah. Or I got it.
You got it?
TikTok has been in the news. They're trying to ban it. It's a Chinese-based company. Even though I watched I'm kind of a nerd. I watched C-SPAN, and it's actually a Singaporean guy that started the company, I believe. It's not even a Chinese-based company.
Well, I do believe you are correct.
I heard that right. Okay.
No, I think you're right. No, you are right about it being founded by somebody who's from Singapore. That is 100% true. Okay. However, the actual headquarters, I believe, are actually rooted within China area. And if that is true, China's laws dictate that, well, because of the structure of the government, that they basically have their fingers in access to data to anything. Now, ByteDance, who is the parent company, has always maintained that their U.S. portion of their organization is segregated, but we know that, that's not necessarily the case. No, so, yeah, so this is the big deal, is that there basically was a time frame in which they had to get something figured out. I think it's by January. And all this means is, as we head into the new year, there's a chance that if the government doesn't do anything at all, then there will be a ban. Now, what that looks like is that Google Play Store and the Apple Store would have to remove TikTok from its store. It's not like you're going to hit like a big button and everybody gets kicked out of TikTok and it not works anymore. That's not what will happen. But it does mean that you won't get any new installs. and it also means that you won't be getting updates. So it could languish over time, not getting updates, running slower, all that kind of stuff. However, new administration going in, there's a lot of promises about, stopping the deal. One thing that I had read throughout here is it's interesting is that China was very reluctant to agree to selling off ByteDance portion for TikToks for the US. However, with the incoming administration, they're now saying that they may warm up to that, and it could possibly be due to the threat of tariffs because now they can get something out of it. They can say, okay, well, we'll sell TikTok to a US based entity if you lighten our tariffs. Yeah. So this whole thing's going to be really interesting as we head into the next year, with these social media. I'm not on TikTok. Do you use TikTok?
Yep. So TikTok for me is funny videos, and really, my wife and I only watch it as we eat dinner. It's just something light. We're not watching the TV. We're sitting at the table, just trying to join a little bit of something. But it's cat videos. It's funny football
I get
stuff.
it. My kids have it. But from a security perspective, what is your take on it? Let me set the stage for you. If it is a Chinese headquartered, founded by a Singaporean, but a Chinese headquartered organization, and they, in the rights agreement, they are collecting your location for location tracking, your viewing habits, all of that. You know me, privacy is a myth. I get it. There's so much that we're a commodity. But what are your thoughts on it being a domestic-based company like a Facebook versus a Chinese or Russian state-sponsored? What are your thoughts on that? Them having the data of knowing where Doug goes, when he opens it, what his viewing habit. How do you feel about that from a security standpoint? Do you take pause at all? Or do you think it's no big deal that it's Chinese-based?
I think there's definitely a concern because this is a totally a different show. But getting into China, kind of getting into our land, there's some land issues, purchasing large amount of land, Chinese aged men crossing the border. But to get back to this, I think they want to track influential people in the military, people. I think this is just a thought. I don't have any facts to back it up, but I think they're going to track you, but then find out, is this someone we need to keep following? No, like me, it's just some guy in the middle of the country. Or is this a guy that has access to critical infrastructure such as power plants and stuff like that?
Or do they have a security clearance?
Yep. I think that would be their main concern, is not necessarily tracking every American, but tracking the Americans that have access to things that are interested in.
And I can say from personal experience that while erring on the side of caution in the federal government, all government workers in the federal space have been told to refrain from being on the platform until they get this mess sorted out. So if anybody has concerns about what Doug said, I just want to alleviate that that the federal government has basically blocked it on their devices at this point and told any federal workers that through training that they shouldn't be on it. So it's one of those things to make note of. So don't worry. All right. Next one. I like this, and I like that they're taking the lead. I hope it becomes a thing because we keep hearing about it. But Google Wallet can now be your passport at many airports. Essentially, this is a thing that's been a long time promised. I know Apple's even talked about it with Apple Wallet. They said, and I think you can do it now with Apple Wallet, but it's with your driver's license, and it's only certain states that have signed up for it. Personally, I'm all for this. I think it's cool. I would love, as a traveler, to have my passport on my phone and not have to have my physical passport out. Just when you're going through the line of security, you're wouldn't it be nice to have it all in one spot? I already have my ticket on my phone.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to have my passport on my phone, and I know they've been promising driver's license, so I hope this becomes a thing. I personally like it. I know a lot of people are anti-digital on that, but with the way encryption works and that sort of thing, I trust it. So I think it's cool. I don't know. Would you use this? I mean, it says here that they're already starting to roll it out for select TSA checkpoints in certain airports. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with you. I think everything's gone to the digital side. You look at concert tickets. There's no more paper concert tickets. It's all Ticketmaster, StubHub, all that. It's all on your phone. It's all NFC. You touch a little reader and you're in on the ballpark, football arena, whatever. I think the same thing with your tickets. I've got a flight coming up actually next week. I'm going to have my tickets on my phone or on my app for my certain airline. They're going to scan my phone. I'm going to walk on a plane. So this would make TSA even better. And to talk about TSA, I actually have TSA PreCheck. It's nothing fancy. If you
love it.
It gets you through the line a lot faster.
Yeah.
I think with a digital ID, TSA PreCheck added, even faster to get through those TSA PreCheck lines.
And I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole, but I have to ask, are you going to use your Apple Watch for your tickets?
I have not yet. No, I've used my iPhone a lot. It's so fast.
Me too.
I love it. I actually used it because I left my wallet in the car to pay for something today. So.
I know it's great. But as a reminder to you, since you'll be traveling, you can do that. If you add that to your Apple Wallet, just know your ticket does pop up on your watch as well, and in the QR code, and you can just bloop as you go in the gate.
I'm going to try that.
You could try one with your phone and one with your watch when you board and you're different. Maybe give it a shot. Great. So I don't know. That's kind of the fun of traveling, is trying out the different technologies, in my opinion. But
definitely,
I like things that make life more easier to travel. Traveling's a pain in the butt anyway. So any way it can go easier, I'm all for it.
But I think you said it earlier. We need to have some kind of security on this because it's your ID, it's your passport, it's your credit cards. Which I think Apple. I'm brand new to Apple, but I think they're doing a really good job of security.
They're more strict even than Google, and it's kind of at the bane of the annoyance of a lot of the agencies, because they do certain things within their ecosystem is closed. But there's even been stories about how Apple won't unlock certain phones for like drug cartel leaders and stuff like that. So there's some ethical things behind that, but that's how strong they are about the privacy element to it, right or wrong. I'm not arguing either way, but yeah, I think they do pretty decent at it. But nothing is unhackable. Let's just say that. That's the reality of it. So, all right, man. This next one I have some heartburn on. Do you want me to take it? You got it.
Oh, I'm doing good so far today. OpenAI, those that made ChatGPT, or they're the developers behind it, are going to start charging a $200 a month for exclusive version of its O1 reasoning model. Now, you'll have to fill me on the technical aspect, but what I believe is they've come out with this new reasoning model. There's already a subscription for 4.0. Am I right on that?
You get all the models. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
Yep. So I'll this one, from an aspect of not knowing anything about IT, this isn't for me. I love the kind of Ask Jeeves version of ChatGPT. I want to ask a question, something simple, if it makes a picture. So you've got to key me in on what this is about.
All right. So there's a lot to this. This is why I said I have a little bit of heartburn, because I do love ChatGPT for warts and all. I want to be clear. It's not perfect, but it's pretty impressive still nonetheless. It's really hard to kind of cut through some of the BS. Look, I find there's two camps when it comes to AI and the large language models, specifically with ChatGPT, because they are on the forefront of leading this. We always say, this year, it's not a nerd news without an AI thing. It's been blowing up since we started this podcast. I mean, right when we started the podcast is really when we saw the boom of the large learning model. But people are in two camps. They either hate it, they hate on it, or they're crazy adopters, almost cult-like. I'm more middle of the road in that I'm impressed by it. I see the potential, but I'm leery in certain areas. And I also can call out when it doesn't do very good on stuff. So up to this point, they have what's called a Plus membership. You pay $20. That gets you access to early features and your multiple models. So that means you have access to the 4.0 model, the 4.0 mini model, which is just a lightweight version for everyday tasks. And then this one that they're talking about here, which is their O model for reasoning, or O1 for reasoning. So I've used O1 because it's a part of the Plus membership. The O1, which is in preview right now, the idea behind it, what is it? Why would they charge $200 a month? It is supposed to be able to be really good at certain tasks, specifically coding. Right. So if you wanted to reason out or analyze code base deeper than the base 4.0, O1's really good at that. And it takes longer on its responses because it can fact check itself. And basically all it does is, once it spits out an answer, instead of just giving it to you right away, it reevaluates it. And it runs it through a couple of times so that the answer that you get is a little bit little bit more refined. Now, up to this point, you can't drop images or files or have it review stuff like that for that 01 model because it's in preview. You can do that with version 4.0. Where I worry about this is, so I think what they're targeting is for the professionals that are coding, and they'll use this a lot. I also think it uses more processing power, so they're trying to offload some of the cost. But where I worry is that, is this going to be a sign of them? It's kind of like what we talk about with Disney Plus, Netflix. You know, they get everybody hooked on it. It's a decent price. It's affordable. Everybody loves it. And the next thing you know, they're just starting to charge you more and charge you more. That's my worry. Is this a sign of them charging more and you getting less? I hope not. Now, in the same article, I didn't know this, and I need to check this out after the podcast. They've started what they call 12 days of shipness. This is an OpenAI thing. It's basically their announcement. And over the 12 days within this December, they're going to be making announcements about stuff coming to ChatGPT as we head into 2025. Things like, we've been hearing about Sora, which is the video thing where if you type in, make me a video of a girl walking in a field, being attacked by a tiger, and it makes the movie. And there's been people who've had early access to it, and we've seen that, and it's really impressive. My theory is, I think with a lot of these features, they're going to start to monotonize it based on what you want. So that means if you're a filmmaker, it'll be $200 a month to use Sora. If you're a coder, $200 a month for you to be able to use the 01 feature. But they'll keep the plus tier for just people that want to do general stuff like what you and I were talking about at $20 a month. So I get why they're doing it, because they have to offload the cost, and they're also trying to, now that they're a for-profit organization, I get the business model. However, I worry about what is that going to do to the cost versus what you're getting in return. However, competition is good, and maybe this is also something that will spark competition amongst, the other players in the field, like Gemini or Grok or all of those. So that's my little soapbox on this whole little thing. So sorry for the long explanation, but there's a lot to this. And I had to read this article a few times just to try to fully understand what's going on. They had charts in it and everything. There's a lot in this kind of thing. So what are your thoughts?
I think I can sum it up to our listeners as, if you are in one of those professional fields, this might be a pretty good option for you. Kind of help you do some of that back end work, back checking to check your work. But I think for me, I use the free version, and it does everything I need to do so far. It gives me a limited number of questions a day, I think, but it has worked great. I shared an image the other day with you of me sending one of our antique little glass dishes.
Oh,
I sent it to ChatGPT.
You took a picture of it.
Yeah. I submitted the picture to ChatGPT, and it immediately identified it and told me what it was. Mind blown again. ChatGPT and AI models like that are super helpful, and I love them for that.
And the free version is version 3.5. Let's be clear. And that's
it's
still
working great so far. I don't do anything too technical. Sending in antique glass dishes, that's the most I've done so far.
Yeah, dude, it is so helpful. We were watching a TV show, and there was like an old car. I didn't know, I'm not a car guy, but this thing was really weird looking. It was foreign. I took a picture of my TV and sent it in, and it fired back what the model and make was. And it's just so cool. I've done that for bugs I can't recognize, lizards I've seen while I was out on a walk over the summer. Took a picture of this thing, sent it to GPT. It fires back and tells me what it is. So you're right. I don't know. The big thing with OpenAI, they're the the pioneers on this. Their big thing in this video it talks about why they're charging for 01 is, and they show these charts, competition math, competition code, and high level science questions. I mean, I think the 01 is meant for the scientific and mathematical and coding field, and that's why they're charging for it. And it probably costs more money for them to run the servers. That's really the very short version of all of this. I just hope it doesn't lead to them starting to charge for every little thing and starting to nickel and dime us, microtransactions like we have in video games.
Yeah, I think you have a new iPhone. I have a new iPhone. We're waiting for 18.2
intelligence
and the integration of Apple Intelligence and ChatGPT.
And maybe that will be something that'll help level out common use not becoming expensive because of these integrations. Because not only you bring up a great point, not only have they have agreements with OpenAI for Apple Intelligence, but they also have it for Copilot, which is Microsoft's stuff that's built into Office 365, and they're trying to ramrod it into Windows 11 as well. So maybe that'll kind of keep the normal use at bay. I'm hoping this is really just a play for the science community and them trying to maybe get some money out of some universities. So
makes sense.
All right.
Now I've got to take this one because
tinfoil hat time.
Dang it! You took the words out of my mouth.
Our friend hat time. Matt, you're out there.
Matt,
you're out there.
You
Listen up.
Tune into this. So I have seen this on TikTok actually, but I've seen this multiple other areas. There are some large drones flying over New Jersey, and no one knows why. Now, what I haven't seen is a statement from the military. I kind of scanned through
the FBI. The FBI did weigh on
and
it.
Local law enforcement are talking about it, but not the military. So I wonder.
But the FBI does talk to the military.
Oh, absolutely.
Look, tell me if I'm wrong on this. Isn't most of the time, if there's an unidentified object, remember the whole thing with the Chinese weather balloon?
Yep.
If they have an idea or know what it is, they'll pretty much try to release it to the public to kind of quell concerns.
I believe
the fact that the FBI says we don't know, that is kind of like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
There's
when you've got to wonder, we talked
here.
about China and Russia. Is it another weather balloon, but better? I don't know.
That's a good point.
I'm still thinking aliens. I'm going.
You thinking aliens?
Tinfoil hat, aliens, but they've made it to look like an airplane. The video we're watching now.
Why New Jersey? What's in Jersey?
Some really good capicola sandwiches, probably.
Probably. I say Sopranos, maybe.
Yeah. And I'm sure I butchered the name of that lovely Italian meat, but
I'm sure. Well, this thing is interesting. I'm sure the next time we meet up with our friend Matt, he's going to have all kinds of thoughts about this. He loves this stuff.
Send this to us.
I'm surprised too. He sends me all kinds of crazy stuff, and and most of the time I have to fire back at him. No, dude, this has already been disproven. But this is something that's hot and new. So I'm sure he'll send it to us like tomorrow or something.
Now, here's a question for you, because it says the FAA has banned all drones from flying over Donald Trump's New Jersey golf course.
Mm-hmm.
But do the UAPs, UFOs follow FAA guidelines?
If they get the bulletin.
Oh, dang it. They got to show up?
I don't know. It's a federal government. Do the aliens have fax machines?
I think they're past fax machines.
I know. This is fun. This whole thing, it's stuff flying in the air and they can't control it. I don't know. It's fascinating.
I did get to see that balloon fly over.
Yeah, my wife did too.
We looked straight up and it was right there. It was huge.
Taking pictures of you, man. It's because it saw that video you opened on TikTok.
Uh-oh.
They sent it over here.
Well, they saw us in the middle of nowhere and they're up. Keep going.
What do they call the center of the U.S.? The flyby states?
Flyover states.
Flyover states, yes. I hear that often.
Yeah, keep flying.
All right, this next one's a rumor, but it's really important. So, and I want to point out there's some history on this. So, Ubisoft, they're known for Assassin's Creed, Watch Dog franchise, just some major bangers of games. They've been having some missteps as of late. The biggest one is, and last night I was watching Mr. Rightway, who we had out on the podcast, and Neoness and A Omega. They do a Thursday night podcast, and I love joining in on it because their podcast is live. And what's really cool is they covered this, and there's a game called X Defiant. And it was a first-person shooter multiplayer game. It was released publicly in May of 2024. It was made by Ubisoft. They just announced they're shutting it down already. It's because of performance. And this kind of falls into like the video game Concord, which it barely got launched. And it was a few days later, they pulled it from the shelves. This is kind of a recurring theme in AAA titles. But I point all that out to say that there are now rumors, it's unsubstantiated, but it keeps popping up, that the family, the Guillemot family, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, who founded and currently have a 15% stake in the company, is considering a buyout deal that will let them retain control of the company. But right now, Chinese developer Tencent is likely the choice of a buyer for Ubisoft. So I don't know. I kind of wonder with the missteps that Ubisoft has had that makes them right for being purchased. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I have not experienced the game, but I am familiar with Tencent. For those that don't know, they have made PUBG. I've got lots and lots of hours of PUBG. They
You play
also make.
PUBG? I've never played PUBG. Not a
Oh,
lot of it,
it's
at
really
least.
good.
Is it?
It was kind of in a. Wasn't it in alpha beta
It
forever?
was forever. Yeah.
Forever. So I thought it was really good. The combat was really good. They also made League of Legends, Honor of Kings, and then Call of Duty Mobile, which was pretty good as well.
Did
So
Tencent
they've
make
got
that?
a really good
Or
track history.
did Tencent make League of Legends, or did Riot make League of Legends?
I think they developed it. Riot Games developed it, but Tencent acquired it in about 2010, 2011.
Thank you for the fact check there, man. See, we're
Yep.
checking up on each other. And the reason why is we have an article here in a minute about Riot Games, and they talk about League of Legends. So that's why I wanted to point that.
Yeah,
I'm glad
I
you did
had
that.
to fact check that.
Look at that. Keep me on my toes. Go ahead and go.
But what I was saying is Tencent, I know Chinese company and the whole Chinese TikTok thing, but I think they have a really good track record of some quality games and quality updates to their games. Because PUBG has had some bugs. I haven't really experienced the other games. So to wrap all what I'm saying up, if Tencent acquires it, hopefully Tencent gets the Ubisoft library and does really good for it.
Yeah, hopefully
Ranked
so.
over there. So
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, continuing down the video game route. You know, it's interesting. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has had a lot of video game IPs as of late. There was a really good Shredder's Revenge, which was a great beat 'em up. They've had a few of these. This one is new. It's called Tactical Takedown. Now, you know me, man. I love a good turn-based strategy game.
Yeah.
That's essentially what this is. I'll play the video here briefly. It's essentially a Ninja Turtle game with foot soldiers, and it's like playing chess. Think of it that way, where you have different squares on the board, and you have to strategically take turns, settler of Catan style, where you move your squares over, and then you have to choose your attacks. I think this is awesome. One, I'm glad Ninja Turtles as an IP is getting some love because we went for a drought there for a while. And then two, I like that they're using these creative different video game styles. Like it was the 16-bit pixel style for Shredder's Revenge. The graphics were so retro and cool, but it was a beat 'em up, kind of like Final Fight. So I love that they're doing this with the property, and I'll definitely check this out because I love these types of games. So I don't know. Did you love Ninja Turtles as a kid? Like, what was your history
I
with
did
it?
big time. All the arcade games, the cartoons on TV, and I think we're seeing a resurgence of Ninja Turtles and Sonic and all these '90s things coming back for the next generation of kids. I just hope they do it justice.
I know.
My thoughts on this is with the RPG, you go, you collect this weapon, but you collect a better one, and you collect a better one. And I'm not up on the lore of Ninja Turtles, but what kind of weapons are they going to offer?
Upgrades. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my concern is if you only have a stun kunai or
Yeah.
size or nunchucks, are you just going to get better and better nunchucks for that same character?
Yeah, I assume they're just going to increase the power damage it does, but I don't know. That's a good question. That does bring up a point because you are kind of limited by the property, right? Because if Donatello has a bow,
You
you
hate to
don't
get
want
away
to
from the storyline.
all of a sudden you're giving him an electric bow. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be weird. But there is this theme that we keep seeing both, and I think it's in film and also video games. Companies are sticking to known established brand IPs because they know it's bankable and they'll get a return on their investment. They're not taking risk on new characters and new stories. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but I do think that opens up an opportunity for crowd-funded and indie developers to come through, especially with all the troubles that we're seeing in the space with like AAA developers, like the big people. I don't know. I think as much as there's an opportunity there, as much as it sucks that the big companies aren't investing in new stuff, I think it is an opportunity for indie developers, and the same for indie film, for them to develop and tell stories in new ways. And honestly, having budget constraints sometimes can make for a better game because you have to be more creative with your design. And the same goes for film. I would say for guerrilla filmmaking as well. That's my 2 cents.
Nope, I agree.
All right, we just talked about this. Riot. I'll let you go ahead and take this one.
Yeah. So, right, we talked about them. They are developers of League of Legends. It's now owned by Tencent, but they are coming out with a IP for physical League of Legends. You know, it was digital. Now they're coming out with a physical card game. I think I've never played League of Legends. I've
Me
watched
neither.
some of the tournaments. I thought they were awesome.
Yep.
I think this is going to blow up big time because people are getting back into the good old days. I would say D&D and card
Magic the
games.
Gathering.
Yep. So I'd say this is going to do really well.
I think this is cool for the same. That's why I threw it in here. I will say this: I don't know a lot about League of Legends. I have watched Arcane on Netflix. By the way, amazing animation series. You should watch it if you haven't. You don't need to know the game to watch because I didn't. It's great. So it's got a really good story. I love that they're taking something digital and they're putting it in a physical forms. I love it when they do this with board games. I loved it like back when Doom had the novels. There were a whole series of Doom novels. There was a series of Diablo novels. I personally hope we see more of this. I hope we see more card games. I don't know. We're already familiar with it. I think this is great. So to me, I hope this starts a trend in taking and expanding the IP beyond the video games and bringing it to tabletop. That's my 2 cents on it.
Now, you might jog my memory, but season 1, we had Frank the Tank on. Great episode, by the way. But he was really into a digital version of a card game, and I just can't remember the name of it.
We'll have to go back and check. I don't remember it.
I don't know if it was Magic or
I don't
World
remember.
of Warcraft Card Edition. But anyway, I think he would be one definitely interested in a game like this.
Yeah. And we have friends, like our friend Jeff. He plays a Star Wars card game, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
That he's really into. There's so many options. If you like card games, there's so many options out there now. And I think that's good from a variety standpoint. All right. Another AI one. See, we're AI heavy. Keeping the trend going. You want me to take this one?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So we had reported earlier on a few episodes back that people's minds were blown because someone was able to recreate Doom with AI and not using a game engine. Let me explain what that means. They essentially showed an AI the Doom game running and told it to recreate it. It did verbatim. And what that means is it was doing it on the fly, meaning when you would open up the door, whatever was on the other side of the door was being drawn just in time for you to see it. That means the AI was creating the game as you were playing it. Blew people's minds. Well, this week, Google's DeepMind Genie 2 engine, they did a demo. This thing's crazy, where it can also generate interactive 3D worlds. Now, the videos I've seen on this are nuts. They show you real time. They type in, I want a robot walking in a cyberpunk city. And then it just goes, and then boom, it just creates a world, lands you in it, and you can walk around. And there are just some crazy videos out there. I don't think they have one on this. I was going to see if I can find one.
You know, as you're looking for that, my thoughts are, I think this is great. It's awesome for the game studios, but I don't want to lose the creativity.
I agree.
I think if it's going to help them write massive lines of code, awesome. But I don't want to lose the individual writer, just like writers in Hollywood, their creativity into the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I found a sample video here. Generate a playable world on a spaceship. There it is. That was the prompt.
It looks a little rough, but I think
it's fuzzy.
Really?
Yeah, this one's the robot in a world, and on the bottom, what you see, those are the keys that they're hitting. This is a sailboat on water.
Now, looking at the robot, I think you know a little more to me, but it takes a lot to program how legs move, how arms move, turning the head.
It's called rigging.
It's a different line of code. So for the AI to do that in less than 30 seconds?
Yeah, most likely they've had it study or train up on like rigging for 3D animation and movement. So it has the general idea for walking and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is the video.
Another argument. I could be okay with if you train it to write your code and write how you want, and it's just helping you out. I'm kind of on the fence of that could be okay. Because if that's going to save you a bunch of time.
Well, for me, where I think it makes sense is to save time for a certain stage of development. Let me give you an idea.
Okay.
So let's say you're a game developer and you have an idea for a game. In order for you to get buy-in on it, right now, you've got to pretty much make a portion of the game, which is a huge investment of your time, a game you don't even know if is going to resonate. To me, I think in the early stage of development, if you could use AI to do a mock-up, so you don't have to create it from ground up. Think of it like storyboarding for movies, where they draw it and they give an example. That's where I think this could be really helpful, is to say, well, look, I have this idea. Here's an example mock-up of what it could be like. And if it resonates and you get the investment you need, then you can double down and start making it. That's where I think it could be helpful.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I know a lot of people are scared of what this means. And yes, it's trained on other people's, hard work. But I'm hoping that we can find a happy medium on
see the pixel art there. It looks really good. I like
it. Does, but you can still see it's got some real smudgy sections, but it's only going to get better. I'm sure if a year from now we compare this to what we can do from a year now, it's going to be dramatically different. All right. You a Harry Potter fan?
I am.
Well, look what's coming in 2025. You got this.
Yep. So Harry Potter is going to release a film series starting in 2025. Now, I've read some of the possible actors like Severus Snape and some others. They're really good. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, this is a TV series, to be clear. But they're going to start filming in the summer of 2025.
But yes, TV
series. No, I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yep.
So they're going to start filming in summer 2025. There's been like a lot of people. I don't know. Harry Potter has quickly become like Star Wars. Like you have to be really careful with it because people hold it so dear. I know a lot of people, they talk about who's been cast for what, like who's cast for Harry's kids and all this kind of stuff. Or if they cast, if it's going to be an earlier version, people get all up in arms about who gets cast and who doesn't. And then, of course, you have the controversy with J.K. Rowling. A lot of people are mad at her for some of her positions that she takes on things. So, yeah, I don't know. This will be interesting to see how this plays out, just because it's a beloved series. And a lot of people, they just get a little nervous when you start messing with it. I put it in the same vein. Harry Potter is definitely up there with Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, in that if you mess with it, it has its fan people that will be very toxic and mean to you because, they're so upset. So,
yeah, I think you took the words right out of my mouth. It's got a huge following. It's got places. It's not Disneyland. I always mess this up. Is it Universal Studios?
Universal, right next door. Okay. Yeah, man. Well, not next door, but
Universal
close.
Studios. It's got a whole Harry Potter world.
Yep, it does. It's really impressive too. So we'll see how this kind of plays out, but it's got a committed 10-year production timeline. So they plan on this going for quite a while. It says the series aims to delve deeply into source material, offering fans an expansive exploration of the wizarding world. Despite controversies surrounding Rowling, the author remains involved in the project as executive producer. A lot of people are mad about that too. But sometimes even if you have a disagreement with an artist, you kind of have to separate who they are versus what, if you don't agree with them. I always use the example of Mel Gibson. The dude's crazier than a loon. Like the dude's got problems. He's obviously had a history of, but I have to say, I love Mel Gibson. I love Lethal Weapon. I loved him in Braveheart. I love him in the stuff he's been in. And he did a Santa Claus movie that was awesome. I love Mel Gibson. I do. The dude's nuttier than a fruitcake, but I don't know. I'm still going to enjoy it. So it's one of those things. All right. This gets in the category of should they do this, Doug?
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'll let you take it.
Yeah. So Disney is prepping 2 Pirates films with a potential return for Johnny Depp. Words are challenging today. So I think everybody knows Johnny Depp was in court with his ex-wife. There was concerns that Disney, they did cancel him, I think. They took him off all productions.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to maybe have him come back. But I think to do a Pirates movie without Johnny Depp is not a Pirates movie.
Well, according to and I agree with you because it's iconic. However, if you go into the article, I mean, they really say that Disney is saying that they're not taking it off the table, him coming back. But this is supposed to be a reboot. So if you're doing a reboot, you tend to think that that may be a little off if you brought Jack Sparrow
The guy
back.
that already did it back, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a reboot, I mean, look at the name. Jack Sparrow and Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp plays him, is such a great character. How are you going to reboot it? That's just my thought.
Yeah, I don't know. They did it so well the first time. Again, it goes back to should you? And this, again, these companies sticking to known properties because they want to print money. They want a guaranteed return on investment. That's really what it is. So, all right, this last one I'm excited about. I have been busy as all get out and haven't had a chance to check it out. But we talked about before, there's a whole 30th anniversary for Sony. Then they've been celebrating the PlayStation series. The PlayStation's been out 30 years. With that, they released physical versions of the console, of the PlayStation Portal, of the controller that look like the OG PlayStation, and it's so cool. But you can't get your hands on them, and they were limited run. However, if you have a PlayStation, I'm actually going to go out here to X because I love this. I've got to log into my my PlayStation. Almost said Xbox. My PlayStation and check this out. But if you go into it, they have themes that they've created in honor of the anniversary. So you can change the whole interface theme of your PlayStation between PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for example, there's PlayStation 1. See the button at the top? See how that speaks down there? And then they have classic PS3. This was the menu and that. And then this is PS4 with the little wave. I love this. I think this is so cool. I need to log in and make sure that I get my theme enacted before they take it away. So I just thought this was a neat little way to celebrate the anniversary.
Yeah, definitely.
Any thoughts on this, man, before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I had PS1 through 3. I think it's a great idea.
What was your favorite?
I would say 2.
See, that's the one
2
I missed.
is where
I always say that. Really? That's the one I skipped.
Well, no,
I
between
always say
1
that.
and 2. 1 I had way more time, way more games on, and that's where I found my love of PlayStation and all things football. That's where I played all the football games. So
got it. Very cool.
It's a toss-up.
It is a toss-up. All right, I'm going to stomp the share here. And let's get into our main topic, which, won't be extensive, but we have had an extremely busy year. This is our second season. Doug and I set out to do this podcast because we wanted to share cool topics, cool things, kind of like us just sitting around sharing stuff, learning new things. And we've built this amazing community. Season 2 is just not gone the way that I thought it would. It's actually been way better than I kind of thought. I felt we had a bit of a slow roll at the beginning because we kind of didn't know what we wanted to do next. We had such a great first season, but man, I feel like we got mid-year, we started firing on all cylinders with content, just stuff that we were talking about. When you take a step back, what are your thoughts of season 2 before we kind of get into our favorite moments? That's my assessment. Where are you at with that?
Well, I think season 1, you see the development of myself. I was kind of nervous. I'm still kind of nervous, jump on my words, but I think as we go on, you see me get better for you all, the fans and everybody listening. And then as far as content, I think we start to find our niche. We start to say, oh, people love reviews. We start to see we
Try
need
new
some more
things.
interviews, stuff like that. So I think as we go on, we're going to deliver and hopefully give you all the best content we can available. And like I said, personal development. We try to be great talkers and conversation carriers and interviewers and so on and so on.
Well, our philosophy is that no matter who we interview or no matter what we cover, it's got to be something that excites us. Meaning, if we're interested in it, somebody else has to be interested in it.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to be boring. So we try to pick fun stuff that I would want to know about. I brought up our channel page here. For if you guys don't know, we're a podcast, but we do video. We post it on YouTube, and YouTube is honestly surprisingly been one of our biggest platforms for consumption. But we're also on audio for Apple, Spotify, and we also, of course, have video on Spotify as well. But YouTube has definitely been, and I think it's because a lot of people demographically use YouTube a lot. A lot of people watch podcasts on YouTube, so I think that's why. But Yeah, man, we can just take a walk down memory lane. So some of the things that we started that's new, we started doing shorts. If you guys don't know that, we only did this one the last couple of weeks, where we give you a quick preview of the episode. We don't have a lot of views on these, except the idea behind them is to give people kind of time in, because not everybody's in the long form podcast. They don't want to sit for 45 minutes to an hour or more, and so we're trying to make it to where you have options for consumption. If you like long form content, we have that. If you like short form, we have shorts. If you just want to see retro reviews, that's another thing that we got into, because I don't think we did that in season 1, the retro reviews, if I remember correctly. I think we just started that. I'm going into our playlist
retro
here.
reviews,
So if on our main page, by the way, if you ever want to see, if you go into the main YouTube channel page, we have playlists. We have all of our shorts. We have the retro reviews, and then we have the long form podcast. We're up to 77 if you include season 1 and season 2, which this will make 78 once we get it posted. Before our retro reviews, you just click on those and you can see, there's a whole slew of them. It'll play all the way through the first one. And I know one of the huge popular ones that we did was the Fallout series. You timed that. You did that one. You timed it along with the TV show's popularity. Dude, that was probably one of the first video content things we've ever done that's like just blown up. I think the first one I did is playing Here's Wing Commander because I have a passion about it. But man, I'll tell you what, this one here, which is the Fallout one and the Fallout 2, because again, Doug does series. These were the ones that I think, from a view standpoint, they just took off.
Yep. I think definitely Fallout 1 had about 400, 490 views. Fallout 2, 921. But I really tried to put my passion into it. And like I said, that personal development of me, I got better at kind of narrating of what I like about a game and not just reading from a script. Fallout 2, a lot of time on that. Poured my views into that, and hopefully everybody liked it.
Yeah. And part of the reason why we do it is just because we love video games, and there's a lot of old video games out there that people don't know about or they haven't played. And we try to share like what we're interested in. You see on the video here, like Doug went all over the place on the history of the game. What does it look like? The pros, the cons. Does it stand up today? Is it worth going back and playing? I don't know. That just interests us. And plus, these videos, they're usually right around 5 minutes. So they're quick consumption things, and we have fun doing them. That's why we're doing them. And so to me, I'm going to call this out for season 2. This is one of my favorite things that we started because I have fun making them. So I wanted to call out the shorts. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. Like I said, we've got more coming out that we've already had pre-scheduled that's coming down the way. Doug's working on a series, but these are fun. And you get tired of looking at our ugly mugs. You just have to listen to our voice, unfortunately. But you get to see some cool game footage, though. That's what's really neat about
Absolutely.
So that's one of the highlights for me. What are some other standout things from this season for you that you want to call out as we do a year in review here, man?
I really have to call out the news stories because I try to stay up to date on technology and AI and everything. And I think our Wired Nerdy News, that really gets me informed about what's going on technology-wise, video games, movies. So that's what I really enjoy. And I'm looking through all the stuff we've done this year. There is a lot of stuff we've covered, a lot of advancements in AI and video games, and Doom playing on something. We've had it playing on gut bacteria this year,
There's
believe.
themes. Pregnancy tests.
I would have to say a shout out to Wired Nerdy News.
I like that. And so the reason why we do the news is because there's so much going on and things are evolving so fast, especially inside of AI. It's really hard to keep up with it. And it's really cool. It forces Doug and I to capture the really cool stuff, everything from movies to technology to comic books to video games across the board. And we try to take it and sort out all the junk, because there's a lot of clickbait out there. And trust me, we click on stuff. We're like, oh, that sounds interesting. You get like, oh, this is stupid. This isn't even news. Yeah. So we try to, I'm be honest with you guys, I'm going to be doing that no matter what for myself, because I like to read that kind of, the nerd news really is my weekly consumption of what I try to keep up on. But what I love about this, while I'm doing that on a regular basis, this has forced me to find and learn things that I may have missed. Doug will find articles that I had never heard of, because we're two different people. We have two different, perspectives on it. And that's what I love about it. it's better together. And then, when people send us stuff, that's what I also love. People will send us suggestions. Hey, I saw this. Would this be good for Nerd News? I love that. So I think that's a strong call out. I think our Nerd News has been very, very strong this season as well. That's a good call out. I think, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, if we keep going down the list, some of our main topics are really good.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of carries into learning stuff, but it also gives us a time to express how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing is shouting out to some of our main deals. We've had, I'm just skimming through the list, Prime Day deals. We've talked about that recently. We talked about our trip to Micro Center.
Yep.
And then you went on a little rant, which I think is totally justified for Comic-Con.
They pissed me off. That better not happen next year.
Yeah. Things like that. And of course, I'll let you get into the next thing I think is our interviews.
All of these things that we're highlighting, we're very proud of. But I will dare say the most fun I have had has been our interview guests. Now, we dipped our toe in the water in season 1, and we had some amazing guests in season 1, many of which we talked about having back on. But Doug and I think, have gotten better at interviewing in that, I don't know, I think we've gotten more comfortable with it. On top of that, our guests have been so much fun. They've been an absolute blast. And part of me thinks what we're probably going to end up doing, I'm going to sift through our videos. I'm going to create a new playlist out here and just make them interviews. If you're just interested in interviews, oftentimes we skip the nerd news because we want to get to our guests. But I think our interviews were on point, for this season. All time, out there, the Dan users. Oh my goodness. Yep. That was so much fun. They were a couple locally that they're awesome. They're creators, they're artists. They were so much fun. And I don't know. I'd like to call them out because I think, I don't know. It was such a blast having them on. And then of course, most recently, our big ones that we've had that we've put a lot of prep time in, and we've made some friendships with our interview with Neo Ness. And they were so gracious with their time, and the topics were wide ranging. I was sick for the Ness interview, and I was afraid we were going to push it out, and I had to fly out like the next day. If you watch that interview, like, I am not at my best. My voice is almost gone. You see me, there I am. I'm drinking hot tea just to get to the interview. And after that interview, I told Ness and you, I was like, I lost my voice completely again because I just gotten it back like the day before. So a lot of memories, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Continuing on, I like our trips. I've talked about Comic-Con. I've talked about the Retro Convention. But one of the best times I had was our trip to Wizards and Witches Arcade.
Yes, we try to visit places. Yeah. I'm trying to go through here and see if I can find that bad boy. I found the Micro Center.
Season 2, episode 9. If you're in the
there you go. There you go.
So we had a really good time, and my passion for arcades and video games, video games started in the arcades, I should say. Going to the local movie theater, playing pinball, all that stuff. I know there's a little age difference, not to bring that up.
He always brings it up.
But my games that I started with, I loved them, Cruising USA, showing my age here, and things like that.
It's fun to do these site experience things. And one of the other guests, of course, that we had on that recently was Mr. Rightway. And we were talking to him. We were talking to us. If they happen to come back. So one of the experiences we do is the Columbia Retro Game Con. That's where we met them. That's why they were on the podcast. If they were to come back, we've joked about having a get together where we take them to this arcade and show them this place, because you're right, man. I love being able to go and have these experiences and then share them with others. And we've talked about other things that we want to do and capture that and just kind of share it with others. I think this is a good call out as well. Yeah. All right.
Scrolling through the list, we've had some good stuff to talk about. And of course, we're getting close to the end here, but of course, we have to talk about Doug joining the Apple cult. Season 2, episode 28.
28. Yeah, let me see here. I'm getting to it. Season 2, 28. I'm getting up here.
And then a couple episodes before that, episode 26 was the Glow event, learning, do I really want this phone?
Yep.
And to dive even further, I know you've got our video pulled up. I watched that season 2, episode 24, made by Google Keynote. thinking, am I going to stay with Android? And I thought, nope, this is the time to switch.
You've seen the evolution of Doug through this. I mean, if you look back at season 1, Homeboy was talking about switching, and he got close. He actually had one on order, and then he bailed.
But for good reason, I think.
You did.
And I think we did research on the show about some battery life issues some other concerns.
We did. I think you made a good call. But if you've been along with us on the ride here, you got to see Doug switch camp ups, which, that was fun. And with all of these, I can't help but think we've had some fails too. So I'm going to call out some fails because we are not perfect. We had an awesome season. No. But here's the thing. We're learning and we're growing. So I'm going to call out, and I hate to say it is a fail. Just like we tried retro reviews, which is something new, and just like we've tried shorts, which is something new, it's gone well. Just like we're expanding our chops on the interviews, it's going well. Expanding our chops on places we visit, going well. Those are all things we showcase. We had the grand idea of, let's go ahead and do a Dungeons and Dragons episode. I think we had good intentions, but man, did it fall flat. And we couldn't keep it up because people's schedules. And I think this is like a common theme in that, you get a bunch of people together to play a game. It's like people get busy, schedules get nuts, and we're never able to get back to it. And we did it in a digital way. We were, here we are thinking this is some of our friends. I think we generally had a good idea with this, but the execution was really off on it. Yeah. So I got to call out some of our mistakes that we've made on it, and it was still fun. Yeah. But we learned what were your thoughts when you look back on this in our attempt?
I look back on this as it got me into D&D. I don't know exactly if I was playing D&D.
You weren't yet. I know you weren't.
Definitely started a campaign with a bunch of coworkers and people at my work now, and I love it. So this definitely got me hooked. I know you worked really hard on this campaign. I'd love to go back and try to finish it, or at least do some quests with you.
Yeah.
So we may have to explore this in the future.
Yeah. Maybe do it in a different way. Maybe not have everybody witness the whole thing.
Get together. We'll set up some cameras and
there you go. And then maybe
that for season 3.
Edit it and break it up into sections, and But there's episodes of on YouTube, like Roll20. These people actually get on stage, they film it, and they're hugely popular. I think we kind of thought maybe that would become a thing, but it didn't. Unfortunately,
shout out to my boy Joe Manganella, who does amazing D&D stuff.
He does. I know.
And ladies, he is also pretty good in Magic Mike. So
why, have you seen that?
For reference material.
Oh yeah, for reference, of course. Yeah. So no, this was area I think we had ideals, but we kind of fell short on it, and it's tough to watch. And plus, also, dude, we're kind of novices at this, and it's hard to watch people fumble through it. And the tools we were using were new, But I don't know. This is one of those things I'd call out that I'm glad we tried it, but I think it kind of fell short of our expectations. But overall, that's one example out of how many that I don't know. I don't think that's so bad. It's been a really good season on it.
And I have to give myself some grief with some errors. I've had some fact check errors. I've had some, hey, of course I read this article and I didn't tell Keith that I didn't read the article.
Or he's sleepy Doug. And I always tell him, get some caffeine, man, get some coffee before, because we record at different times. We try to publish at a regular time, every, we try to get it out before the weekend's over. And sometimes we do on a Monday, but we really try consistently to do a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And our schedules are flex. We have jobs, we have families, we have all kinds of stuff going on. But that means sometimes we record early in the morning, or we record late at night, or in the middle of the day. And you never know if you're going to get sleepy time, Doug.
Doug tries to be on his best for the fans, for the friends, for the family, but sometimes it doesn't always work.
And to be fair, Doug and I work because we are yin and yang. He is chill, easygoing, whatever, man. He's like Zen. Yep. Me, I am a wound up ball of hyper speed energy. And just like where we make fun of him for making mistakes because, he's all really slow, too chill. Me, I'm the opposite, man. I make mistakes because I am going a million miles an hour and I don't slow down. Yes, Doug. It happens all the time. I go to stop the screen share. What do I do, Doug?
Shut off the entire recording.
I'll shut off the entire broadcast. And then I'm like, dang it. So I have the opposite problem. So I want to be clear, we hate on Doug, but I make so many mistakes that are the opposite of him, where he maybe just kind of like chill and zen. I'm going 1,000 miles an hour and I ain't slowing down. And that causes me to make mistakes. So as much as we give him grief, I think I'm just a little better at covering it up than he is. That's really all it is.
Looking back through this season and last season, we need to have some shorts of, we'll edit that out. Because I know
he
I
says it all the
said that
time.
a lot.
And I never edit it out.
We're keeping it in.
Usually because it's entertaining because it's a mistake that he made. He's always, we'll edit that out. Like, hell, no, we're not going to edit that out.
Well, I'm probably going to continue that into season 3, but we're going to work on it.
He tries. The only way I'll ever edit it out if he says something that's really defamatory that's going to make him look bad.
I have a pretty good head on my shoulders as far as that, hopefully.
You do a good job with that. One other call out I do want to have that was also fun was the gift to you on your birthday, which is behind you, the helmet from my brother. That was a lot of fun.
And season 1.
Yeah, season 1 was the Pit Boy. So we've got this theme thing going now, and I like that. I love that we have these little themes. And lastly, rounding it all out, I just want to say, through the interviews and the graciousness of many of our guests that we've had, we have picked up an audience base and viewers now that we are so grateful for, and a community that's building that really we never dreamed of, honestly, because we're just doing this to have fun and to share information and learn new things. So I want to call out, that's one big thing of season 2 that I will never forget is the kindness of everybody that's we've interacted with, supporting us, both of the people out there in the comments, the viewers, you watchers sticking with us, and then the increase in our viewership. And then of course, all of our guests that we've had on. It really does take a village to make this thing work. And that's made it that much more fun. So I do want to call that out, and that will be forever a highlight for season 2 for me. I think we've had a lot of wins. It's going to be really hard to top season 2. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's one thing Brian always teases about. He's like, no pressure. He always says that. No pressure. Every time we do something really well, he's like, oh, good job. No pressure. And when he says it, I kind of cringe a little because me, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to top this? But it's not about topping. It's about having fun, right? I have to remind myself that. Again, this is why Doug balances me out. He has to talk me off the edge.
This is a good transition to talk about what we're excited for in
the future.
Yep. So we have Comic-Con coming up. I'm getting a little excited. I'll calm down here.
It better be better than last year. Better be better than last year, or I'm going to rant.
My phone will not die this year.
It won't die.
I'm excited about.
That's right.
Or I'm excited to test the battery life of my phone at an all-day convention.
It's going to be awesome. You're going to like it. And I just hope it's better and we're not freaking standing in line for half of the day. Yeah, looking at UKC Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
Do better.
Comic-Con, Retro Convention. For those that don't know, Central Missouri Retro Convention.
Yep, for video games.
Awesome thing.
Yep.
We're going to try and hopefully get some interviews coming up. We got some more retro game reviews. I got some games that Brian has suggested and some other people have suggested I really want to dive into. And
for the retro reviews?
My thoughts and what I think.
Yep. Awesome.
And so we got some good stuff coming up. Anything else I'm missing there?
I don't want to commit, but we've also talked about, just like we tried new things this year, we want to try new things next year. For example, you may notice that we threw up our gamer tags on there. So when we game, everybody has a gamer tag, right? We're probably going to introduce that more. And here's why. And Doug and I have talked at length about this. So if you see my gamer tag, Doug's, you still know us as Keith and Doug. We'll still be Keith and Doug, but we're going to throw that up. And Doug is known as Glockify, if you want to know how to say that. You've had that forever.
Get that name on multiple platforms, but
it's hard. Mine have gone forever. For a long time, it was Havoc, and then I changed it to Pixel Havoc because there's a lot of Havocs out there, and everybody has a story as to where their name come from, and we can dive into that on another episode. But you may see that gamer tag pop up more often. In that, we talked about branching out into doing some game streams. We think it would be fun to capture some of our gaming sessions. And we even talked when we had Ness on, we've had Mr. Rightway on, we had Alex Bond on when we were talking about Star Citizen. Yep. We talked about maybe we should capture some game sessions. And we've had some people reach out to us, hey man, you guys should stream some games. So we may dip our toe in that water a little bit. We don't want to go whole hog like we did with D&D and like have, a 2-hour gaming session. I don't know if anybody would want to watch that. We're not nearly as interesting as half the people on Switch or on Twitch. Sorry, I said Switch. Thinking about the Nintendo. But we may dip our toe into that. So I think that's kind of something to look forward to. I'd like for us to figure out a way to do that in a fun way. We had so much fun playing games in the past, like we've talked about for Aliens, Fireteam Elite. If we could capture in a stream some of the mayhem and the laughter that we've had, if we could find even those brief moments and then get those out there in the channel, I think that would be awesome. So to me, I would love for us to try something new, and that's why we have our gamer tags, especially if you want to find us on the platform or you want to game with us. I think it's an opportunity for us to reach out to the community and to be able to try something new. So that's something. Call it a New Year's resolution if you want. That's something I want us to try in the podcast, is dip our toes in playing some games together. And I think that would be fun. And then also, of course, having some guests back, that would be great. New guest, I want to branch out into that. So that's my wish and my hope, is that everything that this has been a building year for us, and everything that we built on, I hope that we can accelerate and do even better next year. And the cool thing about it is, as long as it continues to be fun, we're going to keep doing it. And so far, this season was hands down one of the best that we've had. So ultimately, I want to say thank you to all of you. You made it possible. That's it, Doug.
I can't top that. I just have to say thank you all very much for listening. We have a Wired Nerdy store out there.
We do have merch.
We have merch. Yeah. We have coffee cups, all kinds of stuff. And really, we are not making a profit on that. That keeps the lights on. It keeps us going. Pays all the bills we got to pay. And
we use a service. So let's just tell them, Doug. That's what it is. When we set out to do this, we're not going to half-ass it. We want it to look good, but to do that, we're using a cloud service to help us capture, edit. We're busy people, and so to do that, we gotta, out of our own pockets, we're paying for that. And anything that we do make on any of that, it just basically pays for the platform that lets us record and to post. So I want to be clear about that.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
So just go out there, support us if you can. If not, leave us a comment, leave us a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And thank you for watching.
Yeah, we really appreciate everybody. We hope that you have an awesome holiday, a happy new year. We can't wait to talk to you in season 3, but do not go away. For all of our new viewers, every week we're going to be releasing retro reviews, that small little bite-sized consumable, nostalgia look back at our favorite games. If you have suggestions for them, send it to us in the likes. If you go to our website, we also have a dedicated email address that you can send suggestions to. Man, I'm looking forward to next year. Thank you all. We appreciate you. God bless.
See ya.